Welcome back to VOP this morning, and the conversation of the apprehension, the arrest and destruction of a vessel with laden with stolen crude oil is what we're talking about this morning. And my guest, Victor Ohai, who is a public affairs commentator and also a filmmaker, and Solomon Ndahi, public affairs commentator as well. Well, I do have Victor with us. Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. How are you today?
Very well, thank you, and hope you had a restful night.
I did.
Fantastic.
Great.
Now,
You?
well, you had a restful night. Now, did you think about this destruction, the magnitude of the vessel that was apprehended and the destruction of it and what it means to Nigerians while you before you went to bed? Because that was troubling for a lot of us.
I saw a video from another channel of the bombardment. I don't know if you saw it.
Yes, I did.
Yes, and it was a bit troubling for me because the vessel was already surrounded by naval ships. And then I felt that there was no way for it to go. Um, we have lost so much crude. That's on the one hand. Two, probably evidence that could have been used to trace the culprits. Three, the pollution, the resultant pollution that will come out of it. Um, I mean, it was a good thing that, the vessel was identified, apprehended, but these other aspects are what really bothered me. And they are very, very important. For one, the crude on that ship, even if you say crude oil is $10 per barrel, eh, that would be about $8 million. And crude is not $10 per barrel. I don't know what the rate is now, but it cannot even be less than $50 per barrel. So if you talk about $8 million right now, that's quite a lot. And what was on that particular vessel is almost Nigeria's daily output right now, not the quota from OPEC, but what we are producing daily now is about 900 and some thousand barrels per day. And you had about 800 and something thousand barrels, or about 800,000 barrels per day in that thing. And I felt it was a waste. This could have been handled better. You say you want to punish the ship owners and all that. You can do all that if it's in the laws. You destroy the ship
Now,
afterwards. That's
isn't there no
okay.
way to have extracted the oil from the ship before destruction?
But that's what we're saying, that they didn't have to do that because the ship was already surrounded by naval vessels. There's no way they could have been able to intercept it. I mean, there's no way it could have moved. It can't escape. It's not a military vessel. So it could not have escaped them. And from where we saw it, from what I saw in the creeks and all, almost I could see it's like almost like the creeks and all that. They could have intercepted it very neatly, arrested everyone on board,
Which they did.
I think they
Which
did
they did,
eventually.
yes. Which they did.
Yes, yes,
The
they did
captain and the crew
eventually.
members were all arrested.
Yes, yes. So, but they could have extracted all that oil and not put the environment under more pressure than it already is.
Because apparently
And we talk
that's
about clean up
massive.
again.
The
Massive
pollution now is massive, yeah.
destruction and disruption of the ecosystem. You,
Now, that's
these
not.
are my
Now, are you also aware? Now, this vessel was apprehended on the 7th of July. Now, there was another container that was also apprehended somewhere somewhere else, somewhere in Akwa Ibom. Yes, in Akwa Ibom. This one was apprehended by Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. Um, this was done by vandals. Now, the anti-vandalism unit of the NSCDC apprehended another, a container load of stolen oil. Now, but in this instance, now the argument is to whether it is high power fuel or actual crude oil. So that one they've taken it for testing. But my point here is this. Now, this was also done on the 7th of July. Are we seeing an awakening in security agencies apprehending oil thieves, or is this some paparazzi move?
Well, there's a new sheriff in town, and I think people may the new service chiefs may want to
throw their weight around.
Yes. Yeah. The thing is this: the new president is someone who is, let me say, revenue conscious. His revenue is very much interested in influence, and may not have much tolerance for what used to happen in the past. So we may have seen a reawakening of that. I'm sure that the private security company that had been contracted to is on that contract to man our weeds. They've always done their job. I have no doubt about that. But it's one thing for them to report. Their job is not to implement or execute whether arrests or things like that. It's there for the security forces. So I'm sure they've always done their job. They've always reported. So, but what is important now is that the reports are being taken seriously. This has happened. The other one has happened. I hope it continues. One, as a deterrent. And I don't think the deterrence is necessarily throwing the baby with the bathwater, which is what has happened there. The bathwater, the baby being the crude oil, and then the bathwater being the sheep. The water may be dirty, but the baby is invaluable. We should keep the baby. That method is what I'm not very clear about. You can confiscate that sheep, you can destroy the sheep afterwards. That doesn't bother, but dispose of it so it doesn't become junk. It doesn't pollute the waters as well. Or
even recycle it. That could have been done as well. Recycle the materials.
Exactly. Yes. These are things that can be done. So I am just, we'll have to wait if there's a lot more, and if this causes a deterrent, and if this helps in also our daily output. If it takes us up to where we should really be, then we would have said, okay, this works.
All right. Solomon Ndahi, good morning.
Good morning and nice to join.
Thank you very much. So we're talking about the fact that some vessels have been confiscated or rather apprehended, and the plan is to actually destroy these vessels, considering the fact that we're currently wallowing in debt. But beyond this, well, some persons would say it's a good measure. It means that, as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came and said, we are going to destroy all thieves, and possibly this is a talisman to show that he has started off something. But there are issues. These individuals who go about this vandalism, some of them are government officials, some of them are persons of the political elite. Could it be that maybe this particular individual or this particular vessel did not settle some persons? Because I don't want to believe that this particular vessel in all is the first one that has been, carrying oil illegally. So what's your take on that particular development, or would I say train of thought?
Okay, thank you so much. I want to share the same thought with my senior colleague that has spoken earlier. I honestly believe that you do not throw it together with the bathing water. It's actually just ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. If you look at this very, very well and you look at it carefully, you examine all the facts on ground, what has happened is unfortunate. Yes, this was illegal. The activities were not in line with the stipulated rules. But then you do not take such measures because it is still going to be counterproductive to the government, And just like you have mentioned, it seems to be that this particular movement did not favor some persons, maybe connected to government, and that is why kind of measure being taken. One problem I have with the recent approach by both the former administration and this administration is the fact that they seem to be involving some particular kind of persons in the affairs of security, especially as it concerns issues of crude oil and and all this. It's not right. I do not want to hear some particular names. I would have loved to call them, but then I would not like to taint your platform by mentioning such names. But there are a lot of people that seem to be involved in issues surrounding crude oil movement and so on and so forth in the name of security. That brings a lot of questions and a lot of things we desire, because people with criminal history, people that in the past have been labeled enemies of the state, then you are now bringing them to come and form sort of quote unquote a form of deals. It doesn't instill any form of confidence in the people. I speak for myself, but I know a lot of Nigerians also. So these actions are not very, very clear. And just like my senior colleague has said earlier on, I do not think this decision by the federal government is right at all. And I'm sure you will see from the various comments from Nigerians, this is reducing the level of confidence we have in the government, especially as it concerns security of crude oil and critical infrastructure.
Now, do you think this means that Nigerian Navy is overwhelmed? Because, well, I don't know if we should expect the Navy to, overlook the entire sea, because it doesn't seem like they can do that if we have private contractors being the ones to apprehend most of the time. Are they overwhelmed?
Yeah, okay, thank you so much. Yes, a generous word you used there by referring to them as contractors, but then I will stick to that. Just like you said, the Navy might not be overwhelmed, but then when government takes such actions, bringing in these quote-unquote contractors into the whole equation, it begins to ask the question whether the Navy might be overwhelmed. Normally this is something that the armed forces, through the Navy, that is the wing dedicated to water and issues of this side, normally they will take care of it. But from the actions of the government, it seems like they do not have enough confidence in them. And then we're not bringing in people with questionable character into this equation. Do not forget, my brother, do not forget, this is the same theory that was deployed in Borno State. I'm from that part of the country, and I can tell you authoritatively, the history of Boko Haram started from when government and some state-owned or state-backed forces decided to introduce some persons outside the conventional security apparatus to come and help in securing the state and protecting it and providing vigilance and everything. Those people now spiraled out of control, and today in the Northeast we have spent almost 15 years of insurgency. So you can see the kind of issue that has created. So sometimes when you need to know who we are getting in bed with, because it's not always about the first 5-10 minutes.
But let's look at this now. So I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to stay with you on this for just a little bit longer. We know how Tom Polo, who is who basically owns Tantita, the Tantita security outfit, we know how they all came into being private contractors to the government. They started with the agitation, and then government found a way to compensate them. So, okay, fine, don't destroy anymore. Let's pay you to protect, and that's what they've been doing. Now, I'm not going to go to what's happening in the north now. What do you make of a recent statement by Asari Adokubo when he said that the Navy is aware of some of these stealing taking place on the waters of course of crude oil?
Okay, he has his own intelligence sources, he has his own intelligence reports, and sometimes you have to give him credit for that, because this is his terrain. But then this is not the first time we've heard such weighty allegations against Nigerian government when it comes to issues of crude oil thefts and there on and so forth. You remember the immediate past governor of Rivers State, the very, very popular Nyesom Wike, had once told a commanding officer of the Nigerian Navy that paid him a courtesy visit in the government house in Port Harcourt, that his men, he was talking about some of his subordinates, were responsible for the oil theft we're seeing in the region, in the state in particular. We also remember that the same Wiki had alleged that some members of the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps were also engaged in such acts. So maybe it's time the military or the government looks inward towards solving some of these problems, rather than just contracting quote-unquote consultants to come in with some form of approach that doesn't instill confidence. Because a lot of allegations, I can go as far as mentioning names of some senior naval commanders that were alleged to have been participating in this, even though it will not be fair to do so because there is no evidence that has been presented against them and nobody has tried them or convicted them. But then these allegations, when people have a saying, they say when there is so much, when they keep on talking about something, then you need to pay a visit to that place to go and see because something must be happening. Yeah, you can never see a deaf and dumb man. His name can never be on the name of list of non-makers. So I think there needs to be something done. You need to look at it from a more critical approach. Government needs to look inwards. These accusations and allegations can no longer just be coming in and we'll just be ignoring them in the name of censorship. We need to ask government to look inwards. The Navy, the civil defense, any persons that we know that are directly involved with issues of crude oil, they need to investigate. And don't just investigate, my brother. We need to see results. We need to see investigations carried out. Then we need the public to have a full report indicting those that are involved. Then we can begin to have confidence in government when it comes to this.
All right, Victor, are you still with us? Hello, Victor. All right. Okay. Victor, unmute your mic, please. Have you done that? All right, Solomon Indahi, let me stay on with you. So which brings us back to the question I asked you initially, that if Asari Dokubo had mentioned the names of some persons, in the top echelon of our military or the Navy, it obviously says that possibly this particular vessel or this consignment did not do due diligence in terms of, sorting out some persons. But do you see this particular development as a one-off? Because if it's going to become a consistent practice, then that means the president has really put his foot on the ground and by saying that all thieves will be crushed. Do we emphasize more of these disciplinary measures on all thieves or persons who go about with illegal consignment of oil vessels into the country?
Yes, obviously, just like Asari Dokubo has said and we've heard from various quarters, there seems to be some form of discord within the eggheads involved in this. Now, it seems like, just like you've mentioned, it seems like this particular vessel did not go through the conventional way whereby everybody is satisfied, and that is why it has been exposed. Now, my prayer as a Nigerian, I'm sure many Nigerians praying the same prayer, is that they continue to have this form of discord within their own, within themselves, so that we begin to see a lot of it happening. But the issue here is not a matter of what Asari Dokubo has said or what anybody has said. The system is rotten, and we know the people that are involved in this, so we need to point them out and bring them to book. It's not always about, this is just a one-off. This is just one-off. This is just one ship. And in as much as a lot of crude has been wasted here, it is very small compared to the largesse that we are losing on a daily basis due to illicit prices of many of these people. Some of them always on screen telling us of the crimes of others, forgetting their own crimes and forgetting what they contribute to making the system a terrible place.
All right, and welcome back, Victor. Let's come to you now, Victor. It's been 12 years. 12 years that this particular ship has been operating in the waters, in Nigerian waters. Now, the last time this ship was said to have registered, docking was in 2011 at Tinkan Island Port. Now, this is 2023, and it's been operating in what they call stealth mode, basically, in layman's terms, invisible mode.
007.
How is it even possible that a vessel, not a speedboat, all right, not a submarine, a vessel will operate in stealth mode in the waters, in Nigerian waters, for 12 years? How is that even possible?
First of all, the fact that it has operated for 12 years, if we have the information it has operated for 12 years, if we have information that it has operated in stealth mode in this period, it therefore means that people are aware that there's a vessel like that, and that there's a vessel like that that is operating. So the truth is, it is not operating in either any stealth mode or whether evading radar or whatever. It is not possible. It just simply means people have been complicit, people have been compromised, and all these years, people have been benefiting from it, and that there have been vested interests. Like what people say, ships are not, what do you call it now? They are not smoke. They are not things that are invisible. They are not. They are not. They are not even cars that you will say, or planes you say are hiding. Even planes as high as they are in the sky, you will see them. They're too big to be. From a distance, you can see a ship of that size. You could see it. So it therefore means that people have been compromised. People have been aware. People's attention have been drawn to it, but some have been benefiting and they turned the other. They have
away.
turned their eyes the other way. So that's what Nigeria has been hemorrhaging all of these years because of officers in high places who are compromised. You see, one of the most lucrative jobs in the military, joint task force, whether it is by the sea or in the terrorist areas or militant areas and all that, because many of them, when they get there, the first thing you see people are congratulating them. Because many of them go there, and when vessels are caught, these people bribe them. Look at the quality, the amount of the value of that vessel. The crude there, even if it is at $10, that's like $8 million. Those guys will not bat an eyelid to even part with $500,000 or $1 million. You put that into the account of any of these officers or the people that are in charge, they will just turn their eye the other way. This is what has been happening to us all this while. Finally, for whatever reason, and I thank God, Solomon mentioned that, thank God for the confusion in the midst of whoever the people are. Finally, a report there was a report, people have decided to act on it. Maybe the people that are there now are completely different from those that they've been compromising all this while. So the short answer to your question, which I've said in a long-winded way, is it could not be in the stealth mode. People are aware. What has made it look like stealth is the fact that they have closed their eyes and pretended to see it and allowed it to go, having been compromised.
All right then. Thank you very much. I was going to ask you another question, but it just kept my memory now. But I must say thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the program. We'll keep you. We'll keep you for the next one. Let's have the next topic, shall we?
Yes, precisely. And of course, it happens to be that two chairmen of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, that is Brigadier General Buba Marwa, retired, has ordered a nationwide clampdown on the sale and use of nitrous oxide, also known as laughing gas. Now, nitrous oxide, of course called N20, is a colorless gas used for sedation and pain relief by dentists and medical professionals to sedate patients undergoing minor medical procedures. However, Marwa said the order was in response to the gas being used for recreational purposes as a drug by some fund seekers, stating further that the demand for the substance had spiked. In a statement which was issued on Tuesday, the agency spokesperson Femi Babafemi said the agency would not think twice to punish anyone caught with the substance. It partly read that the NDLEA CEO has directed all commands and formations of the agency to begin an immediate clampdown on the illegal sale and use of nitrous oxide, otherwise known as laughing gas, following its abuse by people who use it for recreational purposes. However, Marwa is urging parents, guardians, and other stakeholders to remain vigilant, alert, and warn the young ones against experimenting with or abusing the substance. He warned further that the gas threatened users' mental and overall well-being. That's basically the next phase of the conversation that we'll be talking about this morning. I'm going to start with you, Solomon Indahi.
No, I think he's left.
Oh, Solomon is no longer with us. All right,
Okay.
Victor, let's start off with you. So apparently, if you do know that this part of the world, especially in Lagos, we like to have fun. It's an environment where, regardless of the current economic, strangulation, people must have fun. Now, some young persons like to engage in this activity where they take this substance to feel good, to be part of their peers. But the NDLEA is saying something that I think is important for a lot of people to talk about, and this is one big warning. What's your take on it? Victor, are you with us? All right.
All right. Well, we'll also be joined by John Akirile. We do expect John to join in this conversation soon. And then it's the drug use in Nigeria is becoming, not becoming. It's actually very, very troubling.
Have you attended some gatherings recently with young persons from the age of 15, 16, 17? They don't even have to go out this time around. They converge in their homes and take this thing to feel high, to feel good. And it's not surprising to hear the NDLEA banning the substance. A substance that was meant to create relief for patients who are going through some pain, especially those who will go to the dentist. I actually experienced that personally as I expressed to you. But it's quite unfortunate to see the misuse of this. Some persons will say it's an attitude that is synonymous with some Nigerians, that they know how to overdo things. Well, I mean, look at this development.
It's worse than we think it is, actually. Well, we have Victor High joining us again. Victor, this is where we are now. You were trying to say something earlier.
Yes, I was trying to ask that this development that has caused the NDLEA boss to ban nitrous oxide because of the illegitimate use of it, and it's become so, would I say, a lifestyle, especially for fun seekers and fun lovers, that this is the way to express or be part of their peers in living well. What's your take on this?
Well, it is unfortunate that, and I don't mean, I'm not, no pun intended, idle Nigerian youth, please excuse me, I don't mean it in the sense that, have their favorite pastime now is just taking drugs and things like that. And this is very, very unfortunate. It must have its uses, obviously. Okay? Like we have said, it's used for pain relief, for sedation in the medical field and all that. But now people have decided to abuse it in the way they have. I think that what needs to happen is maybe a controlled, circulation of the drugs. There's nothing they cannot abuse. They abuse rubber, they abuse even toilet. You go, the gas that comes from septic tanks, glue, all sorts of things. What and what we need. I think that this is something the government needs to declare a state of emergency, or we need to really find a way to engage our youth. It's idleness. I don't see any youth who is busy, fully engaged with serious business or matters, who will go and be looking for laughing gas or trying to sniff glue. We need to engage our youth a lot more. I think that rather than being reactive, the NDLEA, yes, that's its mandate, what it's doing, should also suggest to government or sit down with other arms of government and see how they can create employment engagement for young people. There's no way if you ban laughing gas, tomorrow it will be another thing they will discover.
Now,
and then you ban that one.
Let's look at this. Let's look at this now. It's not the first time. We've had what I will call a pandemic. Before, not too long ago, it was codeine. Codeine was the in thing, mixing with water and all of that. And then we had tramadol. Now we have loud. We have Canadian. There are different names for these things.
Miri, the one in the southeast.
Yes. There are different names for these things, and they keep coming. Now, should we be afraid of the future of this country, seeing that drug abuse is prevalent, especially amongst our youths? There are different things that they put there. Tiny things they put in their mouth, it melts. You go to parties, you see these things. It is indeed troubling. What should we do differently? Because banning obviously isn't going to work. It's not going to stop it. And also, I'm going to take you to the fact that entertainers have over time promoted the use of these things.
That's true.
So now that
How
brings
do you
us.
mean entertainers promoted the use before I answer your question?
How do I mean?
What?
In music
Yeah.
videos, in movies, you see them smoking. I mean, Olamide, the one who actually is in focus now because he was seen with the canisters and the balloons containing nitrous oxide in a music video. Olamide did a song some years back where he sang about science students. And what was science students all about? Mixing concoctions to get high. That is promotion, isn't it?
That's true.
You don't consider that
I don't consider that what?
information. How did it come to your view? He exposed what was going on, isn't that?
And he
It's
used
different
it.
from. You see, there are those who expose the virtues of these drugs.
Is that
who
that
promote it.
good exposure?
That's different.
Is
No,
that
no,
good
no, no.
exposure?
Let me explain.
Go ahead.
I'm
please.
not supporting any. I would never support any negative whatever. But you see, it's easy to pick on entertainers because they're in view and whatever they say they can influence people. But what he said at the time, I thought should have been something that NDLA should have taken up. Is that this is what is happening, because there are things that are happening we may not even be aware of generally. If somebody comes up and throws it up, it doesn't necessarily mean it will spread. It simply means we are more aware of what is going on. When you talk about science students, what was exposed in, I'm not sure I know the lyrics or whatever, was probably saying this is what they're doing. Isn't that a wake up call that we should look into what is happening? Teachers should watch, should supervise experiments, supervise, the use and the availability and account for all the chemicals in the laboratory and make sure that students don't abuse them. But let me not go that far. Your original question was, should we be afraid about the future of our youth? The answer is yes, if we don't do what we should do. No, because it may not be a general problem, but it has started. It is there, and it's an existential threat to the future of our young people. So I think that it is very important. No government agency should work in isolation. If it was like in the days of Babangida, you say NDLA should work with what's this one, that youth employment? I've forgotten. There's this one on providing jobs. I've forgotten the name now. Or agencies that provide.
Is it NPOWER?
Yeah?
Is
No,
it
Empower is
Empower?
what we have now. Okay, maybe if you talk about Empower now and all that, but I don't even know what those agencies really do. But we need to create more opportunities for young people in education. When you have actual strike, people obviously have nothing to do with their time. Then if you are busy, how many medical students do you see getting involved in things like this? Their assignments will drive them crazy. They have no time, no idle time. I'll use them as an example. There's no idle moment for a medical student.
Well, some people will disagree with you
No
because
one or two.
Okay.
Hello?
We can hear you. Go ahead, Victor.
One or two, there's always a black sheep in every community. May go astray and all that. But look at medical students. There's no time. Whether for cultism, for crime, or they have no time. Because the assignments that are piled, the workload keeps you busy all the time. When ASU goes on strike, for instance, because of not reaching agreement with government, and government does not do anything for 6 months, 7 months, 1 year, students are at home. This is the result of it. And I'm hoping that what this government will do is to ensure that things like this never happen again. And in our primary schools and all that, get as many people into schools as possible and finish, create more jobs, opportunities, so that there's engagement. This, to me, is the solution. All this banning, we're just being reactive. It doesn't solve the problem. You ban laughing gas, you ban tramadol, you ban codeine, they will discover more things. Your Coca-Cola, they will do. Are you going to ban Coca-Cola? Sorry for mentioning a brand on your station. It came out before I realized it. Are you going to ban these soda drinks? We cannot keep doing that. We need to begin to think proactively, not reactively. That's the problem.
All right. John Okerele, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, John, sir, we're talking about nitrous oxide. It's a laughing gas. Do you think this particular lifestyle is peer pressure induced? Because we asked a question about celebrities being the core promoters or almost role models for a lot of young persons who indulge in this. It seems to be like a lifestyle. And the reason why that particular synopsis or concept came about is the fact that in most of the music videos that we see, Nollywood movies that we watch, or even social media, the little skits that we watch to entertain ourselves, we see these propagated often. And a lot of young persons who do not want to go through the route of working hard prefer to go through the quick means of either becoming as popular as possible, and the best way to go about it is to indulge in these practices. It's become so bad that the NDLEA has decided to ban that substance that is supposed to be a medical relief for medical reasons. What's your take on this particular perspective?
I think for me, we should look back.
Okay.
Look back to the late 80s, early 90s. Do we have high rate of drug abuse in the country as we have it now? The answer is no. Okay, and you cannot take away drug abuse and economic imbalance. You cannot take away drug abuse when there is poverty. You cannot take away drug abuse when there is idleness. You cannot take away drug abuse when there is boredom. You can also take away drug abuse with the adolescents, because that is the exploration era. And mind you, while they are exploring, discovering new concoctions, so to say, new mixtures, it becomes an attitude. And when it becomes an attitude, it becomes a lifestyle. When it becomes a lifestyle, you try to incorporate that which you do into that which earns you money. And that's why I see most of our artists, none of them is exempted. None of them, all of our celebrities, these are people who say they just want to be high. Now, when you listen to the songs they sing, go and sit down and check the lyrics. You see that these are things that they say they get inspiration from being high. And so some of them even have the names called the Most High. Okay? Now, some of them will tell you they derive creativity from highness. Okay? But then, in a country where all things work, we shouldn't have, I think if you want to really understand the decadence we're talking about on this issue, I think you should go into the trenches. All right? When I mean the areas in Lagos where you should go into, and you can see the depth, and how bad these young people, consume drugs. Now, even if you ban N20, all right? Even if you ban that, I can assure you that Nigerian youth will come up with something you don't even think of, and they will mix it up together and they'll still get that idea. So what do we need to do as a government and as a people? One, rise up to the occasion. Two is to have more sensitization, more education, more awareness about the dangers. Okay? Have a soap opera sponsored by the government with the NDLEA and other sister agencies, that go on a weekly basis. There's a particular artist that sings against drug abuse.
DJ David Jones.
So these are people, but these are people that I think that the government should, make an ambassador of probably NDLEA, and he can wax more songs and do more videos, more skits, as to the effects of drug abuse, what it will do to your body, what it will do to you mentally, what it will do to your body physiology. And once people start seeing these things, it will curtail,
John,
the evangelism of drug abuse.
John, it's just for there to be an abuse, it means there is unavailability. There is it's because it is readily available. That is why it is being abused. We know that we've had arrests being made by security agencies of businessmen transporting codeine at some point to the north and other parts of the country, and to the point where codeine, the usage or buying codeine over the counter was even bad. Buying cough mixtures that had codeine in them was banned in the country. Now, not too long ago, I'm going to take you back a bit. Not too long ago, and I would also like your response to this, Victor, if you're still there. Not too long ago, I think some days back, we heard that Seychelles placed a ban on Nigerian passports, on Nigerians entering the country. And some of us didn't ask why before we started saying, oh, Seychelles, as small as they are, and all of that. Now, Seychelles is a country of less than 500,000 people, or do I say less than a million? And they arrested Nigerians. They have been complaining about Nigerians bringing drugs into the country. Now, 7 Nigerians were arrested yesterday. I think that came out yesterday. 7 Nigerians. And that's not the first. It's been going on. Nigerians have been transporting drugs. So now we seem to be moving away from just usage to trafficking. And it's becoming really troubling.
And apparently, Mary, this is not just Seychelles. Also, small other African countries
Are beginning to suffer this.
Exactly.
Where does this put us, John?
The question you're asking me is the same question I will ask you. Are we really giants of Africa? That's the question I want to ask you again. These are indicators, they are indications that we are not on the right path. Okay? A country that is not as economically viable as Nigeria placing a ban on Nigeria says a lot. Don't be shocked that Sudan, that is a war-torn country, will soon ban Nigerians. And maybe that's when our leaders will understand that we should take partisan politics aside and have real governance that will affect the lives of average Nigerians, most especially the youth. Because if you look at these things, these youth that you keep talking about now, they are a product of drug abuse, and these are people that have been neglected over decades. Over decades, mark my words. And this is the resultant effect of the monster the system created. And we cannot exonerate the system from it. Okay? So I think now we should not even emphasize on the dangers or the problems that we are facing, but rather looking at a way for us to, come out of this, to have a rethink, have a reformation, and put people on the right track. We have brilliant young people. If you talk about in tech, in agriculture, in music, creative industry, we have them. Okay, and these are people that have huge influence on other young people. Imagine a Burna Boy. A Burna Boy who is a multi-award winner, a BET award winner, a Grammy award winner, smokes in his video. Do you know how many millions of followers follow Burna Boy all over the world? He's a strong influence. And if people who are upcoming artists who look up to Burna Boy as a role model, see him smoke, they want to smoke as well. So this it's a linkage kind of inspirational leadership that we should look at. And even if you smoke, that should not be something you bring on air, to publicize to everybody. It can be your secret, it can be your social life. Let it be in your indoor, not in your music video, because your music video sends a strong message not only to young people in Nigeria, but Nigerians all over the globe. And that makes you a strong influence. And that's what we must, start coming up. Now, in the case of our videos, who are the agencies that monitor our videos, in terms of our censor board, these are some of the things that we should look at. If you look at it, when some TV stations play music videos, there are some phrases in the songs that they mute. Why? Because they are timed to be vulgar languages. So can we also do such in terms of our videos too? Can we also have blurry section of some areas where you see that there is a place where probably they are smoking India hemp or smoking cannabis, or sniffing something or the other. Can we also have it blurred, so that for those people who are coming, they don't keep seeing images of somebody who is smoking and feels like for you to be a superstar, you must be a smoker. For you to be a superstar, you must be high on drugs. For you to be a superstar, you must be... Do you understand? Those who are singing about it, I'm sorry that they are singing about it, but that is just the start event, because that has become who they are due to their frustration. How many of them believe they will be multimillionaires that they are today? Now, most of them do not believe they will be multimillionaires. But the fame came, and once the fame, that's I gave you the analysis before now. Like it was out of frustration. Frustration becomes an habit to a lifestyle. Now it's a lifestyle. They are big boys. They can fly on private jets, but they can smoke.
All right, John.
So we should
but
correct that narrative.
let's look at the medical use of this gas. What medical practitioners are qualified, to administer this gas? Because like you were saying earlier, when it comes to the aspect of the usage of these things, especially if it's for medical benefits or medical purposes, that we have a way of reconstructing the process to suit our own social lifestyle. But what medical, if this has been banned, how will this affect the medical usage of this particular nitrous oxide?
I think if it's banned for private to the public, but there are some people who will have access to it, and these are medical practitioners, because ordinarily it is used by medical practitioners, to more like a pain relief, sort of. And so if these people they will still need more of it. So I think we should have a system that can release this to only people in the medical upon prescription. Okay. But that also comes to the issue of our system. When I talk about system, people say John keeps saying system. It's because there's nothing we want to do that doesn't revolve around system. If you go to a particular country called Japan and you walk into a pharmacy store that you want to get a drug, I can say to you boldly that you cannot get the drug except you have a government-approved prescription slip given to you with a serial number that can be cross-checked. And if that is done, you know that nobody can come and say, okay, I have a prescription to get this particular product from you, from the government. And if there's a routine line that can check, okay, this is from the government and it's confirmed, that they can sell to you. Okay, so we should look at that area. How is our distribution channel when it comes to drugs? Who are those that are in charge of these drugs? Okay, so these are that should be corrected. Before now, an NAFDAC comes up with you that if you buy a drug, you can scratch the code and then send the code to a particular number to see if the product is actually genuine or is original. If we can have that for products, can we also have that for people, for prescriptions as well? If you are given a prescription, can we also have a code attached to that prescription so that when anybody wants to sell to you, press or dial the number or scan that code, it can get the real prescription, where it's coming from which purpose this product is to be used for, and then they can sell. So we just need to have a system that can curtail the distribution so that we don't have abuse. If we can curtail distribution, abuse will be avoided. And that's the way I think we should go.
All right, so if we still have Victor online. Victor, are you still with us?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. I know you might want to respond to some other things asked already, but as you do so, if you will do so, I'm going to ask you this one. Let's look at, I asked earlier, celebrities, artists using drugs in their videos. Well, I don't know how many you watch, but you seem to be of the opinion that they are drawing awareness to it. But I'm going to quote a line from Olamide's song. I'm coming back to him again. He said, I'm going to say, the song is in Yoruba. Semotimu dogoyaro, monkey tail, bami sheklaro. These are all names of drugs. And then he said, I want to do something
I want
today.
To do not today.
Okay, thank you very much, John. I was trying to avoid that actually.
Yeah.
So that is, as far as I'm concerned, that is promoting these songs. Now, John did say something about a censor board, but I also know that when censor board places a ban on some of these songs, be it the lyrics or the content of the video, it only affects when they are being aired in terrestrial channels. It doesn't affect cable channels, because when these songs are censored in the terrestrial channels when they are aired, when you go on cable, they just play the real thing. Can we put measures in place in such a way that even the cable channels, even Netflix and the rest of them, will have to comply when it comes to materials coming from Nigeria, especially for Nigerian consumption, majorly Nigerian consumption, comply in such a way that these things will be minimized to the barest minimized to the barest?
In broadcasting in Nigeria, there's something known as NPTB, not to be. I hope I got it right.
Not to be broadcast.
Not to be broadcast.
Yes.
Okay. This falls directly under the what you call it, a purview of all the under the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission. I'll have to say that they need to step up their game. It's very, very important because censors board is about this and all that, but when you talk about things that go on air, on television, and what you suggested is very correct and it's doable because certain countries will tell you materials like either whether pornography or LGBT, they will not allow in their territory. If we are, as I'm speaking to you right now, I'm in Abuja. I attended a special program on anti-tobacco,
Okay.
and it's for people in my industry, and how we can help to promote, anti-tobacco in the things that we do and all that. And that is only one aspect. And I think the same thing can be done in other areas as well. So I agree with you. There's a need, and also with John, there's a need to create awareness. Very, very important. But also we need to be proactive. I've used that word for the umpteenth time today. We don't need to wait for things to happen. We have to, as I would usually say, anticipate and checkmate. There's too much creative license with some of these musical video promoters, producers, and the artists themselves, both in their lyrics, and in the video. If they ban them from transmitting to this territory, if they like, let them do it for the rest of the world, that's their business. But if they ban their songs on Nigerian radio, where they get most of their promotion, this is where it starts from. And then they ban them also from television, the musical videos. Many of them will think twice about their lyrics, especially lewd lyrics and lyrics that promote negativity. Like this. That's one step that we need to
Consider.
take. And just because I don't know if we're stopping very soon, I need to mention this. Why is it for us to take this issue very seriously? That kid out there that is taking drugs, you may not know him. He may not be your relative, but know this. When that kid is under the influence, when your own child or even you, the big so-called millionaire, are out there on the road, they may be the ones under the influence holding a gun to your head or even terminate that just came back from abroad on vacation somewhere on the streets, anywhere in Nigeria. It's important that we see this problem as our own problem. Don't think it's a problem of other children. It affects every one of us. So it's important that we take it for the future of our country, of our youth, and also because it can destroy the economy of the whole nation. If we allow this, our youth are our future. They are the capital for the future. The human capital. We need to protect them. We need to ensure that they don't go to waste. And look at the embarrassment they are giving us across now in different countries. And I'm wondering, how do they get out of this country? What is NDLEA at the borders? The various air, land, and sea borders. What are they doing? Because some of these come out from here or pass through here, so to say. What are they doing? What are they doing? The people we have manning these are our, if you like, call them international police. They need to step up their game as well. Much corruption, bribe. Okay. When they come, they just flash money and then they allow them to go. That is what is causing us national embarrassment. We should take this more clear, and I don't know, the president should really just, if heads begin to because of what happens at the bottom, maybe people will sit up some more.
All right, then. Thank you very much. Now, this is a final question to the both of you, as you give us your final thoughts on this matter. I'm going to take a tweet by a Nigerian who identifies himself as Mr. Adidi. Let's see now. His name is Matthias Adidi. He identifies himself as the president of Nigerians in Seychelles. He says, I am Matthias Adidi, the president of Nigerian community in Seychelles. Please help us inform Nigerians. Someone in Nigeria is sending Nigerians to bring drugs to the country, and it is not safe. They are being arrested every day. Last Friday, 7 Nigerians were arrested. That's a tweet that he put out some days back. Yes, some days back. Now, we hear that NDLEA accosts buses, vans, trucks in places like Awolowo Road or Lekki, and then gun battle ensues and they get away. Nobody's arrested, and one wonders, how do you engage people in a gunfire for 10 minutes and beyond, and no one is arrested? But here we are, Nigerians all over the world. I mean, Nigerians are doing drugs. This to me is very troubling. What do you make of this, and what's the way forward, really, as we take your part in shots?
Okay, I think for me, this is the height of it. We lost it all. We lost it all as a people. We lost a nation. We lost it all as a country. When it comes to family values and ethics and ethos, we lost it all. You know, when it comes to that moral, we lost it all. And these are the effect of it. How can somebody would tell you, help me take this bag to this country, just a single trip. When you come back, you have 10 million naira. Even your own father, who served in the civil service for 35 years, all of his pension add together is up to 10 million naira. And you can get that 10 million in one day. So it's a complex situation, and I feel for Nigeria. But I think it's not too late for us to take drastic actions, steps, and let it start from the head. Let it start from the leadership.
All right.
And once people see that new things, new policies, new directives are coming up, all of the bordering agents of their games in terms of enforcement, in terms of checking every other thing that needed to be checked, then I think then we'll be on the right track, and then we'll sit back and sit tight. But for my young people out there who are in my generation, I'll say to you that we're the future in Nigeria, and the future of Nigeria belongs to all of us.
All right,
Yes.
thank you very much.
All right, Victor, as part of your pattern showed, I would like you to respond to it. Do you think community should also try as much as possible to influence this moral behavior? Do you think that's beyond the head? Do you think the community has a major role to play?
Yes. I think growing up for me, we have communal parenting, and that was very good. Even if your own good parents are not around, you dare not do something because you have other eyes, other parents who are in the community who always see you. But because we have become a nation of I don't care, it's only my own family, my own and my own alone, and that is what has led us to where we are. Mind you, where they go to buy this drug, somebody is selling. Somebody sees them while they are buying. So there are too many accomplices in the community itself.
All right, then. Thank you very much, John.
Checkmate.
Thank you very much, John. We totally appreciate your contributions on the program. Victor, let's have your parting shot now. Well, I don't think Victor.
Hello?
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Let's have your parting shot.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah. In parting, I want to say this, and I hope the people in NDLA are listening. If any Nigerian drug, anybody is caught with drugs outside the country, they should check his passport the day he left Nigeria. All the officers on that day should be made to face the music. Every single officer that is in charge of checking to make sure they should be rounded up. If we do that more regularly, people will be more alive to their duties so that we can stop this national embarrassment. If they came from Singapore or somewhere else to go to Seychelles or wherever, no wahala. But if they left Nigeria and we can see on their passports the day they left, the port they left from, and the time, which airline and all that, all those who were on that duty should be brought to book. You will see that there will be somebody who will say, okay, just let this guy, that is the person to hold. He will take us to the kingpin. That's one. As for the community, I think we need to engage more with traditional rulers and leaders and church persons of influence, church leaders and all that, to take the message really home, to families and to our children, both in schools, churches, mosques, and the community. We need to engage some more, and
Right.
hopefully this will reduce. It can't be end in one day, but we need to. I will use my language again. We need to be more proactive.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Victor Hai, for joining us as well. Victor Hai is a filmmaker and public affairs commentator.
Thank you.
All right, then. Well, let's go to business now. From the world of business, we have the federal government has raised concern over the performance of the value-added tax in Nigeria as the lowest in the West African region. Now, while describing the development as worrisome, the government stressed the need for a change in policies, adding that the country's VAT rate was less than 1% to the gross domestic product. Now, the Director of Tax Policy in the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Bashir Abdulkadri, raised the concern at the opening event of the three-day workshop on the harmonization of Nigeria's VAT Act with ECOWAS directives. The program was organized by the ECOWAS Commission under the context of implementation of support program for tax transition in West Africa. The PATF aimed to improve management of domestic taxation and ensure better coordination in ECOWAS and West African Economic and Monetary Union regions. Abdulkadri, who stated that exemptions of VAT in Nigeria was not aligned with those of ECOWAS, where he called for the exemption of few products, goods and services from VAT for poor households to benefit from VAT policy. Also, another story here, the federal government has stated that the switch from the use of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, to autogas will save about 1.84 trillion naira monthly for commercial vehicle operators in Nigeria. It disclosed this in a document put together by the Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology, where it explained that a typical commercial Uber car could save 176 naira every month by running on autogas, not petrol. The document titled Autogas Conversion, NITT Initiative and Strategy came out in Abuja on Tuesday at a one-day stakeholders engagement forum that focused on autogas as alternative fuel for transportation in Nigeria. Now, autogas fuel, which could be otherwise called liquefied petroleum gas or compressed natural gas, is a mixture of hydrocarbons that change from a gaseous to liquid state when compressed at moderate pressure or chilled. Now, in the new report, the Transport Institute stated that about 12 to 20 million vehicles were in Nigeria, adding that 57% of them were for commercial purposes. And that's it for business. When we come back, we'll take a break. When we come back, we would have Kayla joining us for sport, a bigger part of entertainment. And then we'll also be having sports. All right, so stay with us. We'll be back in a bit.